Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're watching this edition of Hypnosis Week. As usual, it's me, Alex William Smith, better known to many of you as Jonathan Royal, the British bad boy of hypnosis of magicalguru.com. Enough about me. This week, I am honoured to have a gentleman who is, to the best of my knowledge, the first stage hypnotist in the world to ever have a website when the internet started. He most certainly was the first ever person to run a stage hypnosis online chat, well, kind of group and news page thing called HypnoStage, where there are articles on the business and stuff. He seems to have been around forever. When the internet started, I found stuff about him that was like years ago, and let me tell you, you would not recognize, if you go searching, you would not recognize the man you see then to the man you see now, because he has lost so much weight. I will be asking about that later. So please welcome to the show the legend of stage hypnosis, James Szeles. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I don't know about the legend part, but yeah, I've been in stage hypnosis
Forever.
Forever, yeah. Well, since '78, I got involved in '78. So
for the viewers that don't know, or if anyone who's into stage hypnosis will know, but the therapists who are watching this who might be interested in looking at stage in the future won't know your background. I do, and there's some amazing stuff you can tell us, like doing the Rainmaker show and all that. How did you get into show business, in other words?
I got to show business. I started doing magic with my cousin when I was like 16 years old. A friend of ours was in magic, and he showed us a vanishing sword, a vanishing cane. Oh. And I said, I want to buy that. And I got involved in magic and did magic shows for many, many years. And after about 6 years, I got kind of burned out on it. And I moved to Hollywood, and I was working for a old vaudevillian, Ralph Lane. And he had a magic shop in Hollywood, and he had a little stage and a demonstration area, and do little shows and sell stuff afterwards. But he was a big-time vaudevillian magician, and this is in '74. And so now he was designed to have this little second-story shop off Hollywood Boulevard, and he had all the beautiful wood illusions, and he had a pet chimpanzee.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, this guy was big, and look where he is now. And that just kind of soured me on magic because he had nothing really to show for his career. So after that, I went back to Michigan. I'm from Michigan. I moved to Hollywood and then moved back to Michigan. Never really thought about getting back into performing. And I stayed back in Michigan for about 2 years and didn't, once you go to California, you love the climate. Went back to San Francisco in '78 without any idea of ever performing again, because I didn't want to do magic. And there was a new tourist attraction called Pier 39 that opened up in San Francisco. And they were looking for somebody to do a rainmaking show. And they had hired an actor to perform, and the actor quit after a week. And they ran an ad in the paper, the Sunday San Francisco Chronicle Examiner, and of all the people that applied, they hired me because I was the only person that applied.
All right, okay.
So it was kind of cool. They had this big truck, and they had 2 hidden sprinkler systems that were radio controlled. And he said, just come up with an 8-minute spiel. My whole routine was so corny and so bad that people loved it. People absolutely loved it. It was just that bad. And I did that for a couple of years. And when I was doing my show, a friend of mine gave me a self-hypnosis cassette, and I loved it. And I thought, well, this is pretty incredible. And once again, this is '78, '79, and there was a new thing called Showtime. It came out, and everybody's going, oh, who's going to pay for TV? Showtime is for free. And I see Pat Collins, the hypnotist. And I thought, whoa, I could do that, just like that. And I said, I went out and I bought a book, a clinical book, and I read the induction to my buddy, and he went under like a light. First person I ever talked to, and he just dropped. I just read from a book, and I said, on the count of 5, you're going to take your shoe off and walk out in the hallway.
And that was someone who knew you before you knew anything about hypnosis. So that goes totally against the general advice of don't try to hypnotize anyone who knows you.
And I had a talent for it, and I bought Orvin McGill's Professional Stage Hypnosis, and I taught myself. And it took me about 3 years to do it. And I was pretty successful. You know, I was in San Francisco at the time, based in San Francisco, and I had the San Francisco market pretty well sewn up, and I didn't know how to get it past that because I had taught myself. I wasn't taught by a stage hypnotist. I didn't know marketing. I didn't know how to market. I had no idea how to market my shows, and it just happened. I was at a convention, and there was a new thing out called the internet. New to me and new to the general public. Had probably been around for a couple of years by then. This is 76, 90, 95. And they gave me a little floppy disk. And I put it in my computer, and I connected to my 14K modem. And I looked at it, and I thought, first thing out of my mind was, wow, I would never have to send out another press kit in my life. I would never have to send, I might have to send out a video, but I would have to send out the photos and the letters of recommendation and the bio that you had to send back in the day. Because I had a pretty amazing press kit. It was professionally done, and it was probably about, at the time, probably about $15 to send them each one out. My cost.
Back then?
Back then, yeah.
So that's expensive, because in UK sterling, current exchange rate, that's roughly about £11 sterling. And that was back in what year? 94, 95?
70, 90, 95, yeah. 95, yeah.
That blimey, that's an expensive publicity package then.
Well, remember back in the day, you would send out your press kit, and it would be in a little folder, you bought from the Office Depot, and it had the pockets to put your stuff on either side and your business card in it. Well, I had mine professionally printed and embossed, and my name embossed, and pockets put in, and all my stuff was just
classic,
top of the line, because my wife was a graphic artist, so she did all the work for free. And so when the internet came out, it was like, whoa, this will save me a ton of money. First thing that came around my mind. So I was using MCI was my long distance provider, because there was no internet providers back then, but they also did internet, and it was $1 a minute to get on the internet. And I would get $300 to $400 phone bills every month, and my wife would be so mad at me. So I'd ask people, how do you get a web page? Well, it was simple. You just FTP a program. I'm like, what's FTP? What do you mean, talk? So I found out by trial and error that if I went to a web page and opened it in the view source, it showed the text.
Yeah.
So I would copy the text down, I would paste it onto a page, and I found a file transfer protocol program, FTP, file transfer protocol. Back then you had to select binary or ASCII. And I would type some stuff in, and I would upload it, see how it looked. So, okay, that's what that does. And type something else in and say, oh, that's how that works. So I taught myself how to do code because nobody knew how to do it.
Bloody hell.
And my wife and I, we sat there, and we went back and forth for about 2 or 3 days. So we got a fairly decent looking website up there. And I was fat back then, so I didn't put my picture up there. I put my poster. By the time the internet was out, I already had that beautiful Szeles poster that you have hanging as a shrine in your house, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's downstairs.
Yeah, and so I put the poster up there on top of my page, and then about a year and a half after they had the website up, my wife, once again, who was a graphic artist, did the packaging for Pinnacle, and Pinnacle came out with a video capture board. And I had this would have to be back in 96, 90, maybe even 90, as early as 97. And Adobe Premiere just came out with Adobe Premiere 10, and it had digital editing. And I spent $5,000 on a 50-inch TV, but I spent $6,000 on a Pentium 90, custom-made Pentium 90 computer. And it was $6,000 in 1996 money. And it was the fastest computer they made at the time. You laugh right now. I had a Pentium 90, and I put the video card in there, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna import some video, and I put a couple clips up there, and just for the heck of it, because I had a PayPal account. I'm going to put it for sale. So I rendered two 1-minute clips, and it took 5 hours to render 1 minute of video back then.
Yeah.
It was just a tiny, like 1-by-1 little square box of video. And I put some still pictures up there. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to put this up there for sale, just for the heck of it. And put it up there. And I thought, well, you know, I've got my tour schedule on my website back then and my address. And maybe it's not a good idea to put your tour schedule and your address up there. So I got a P.O. box. And so, long story short, I put the videos up there, I put the still pictures up there. My wife and I would go out on the road for a couple months and never doing nothing about it. Because I'm thinking, these are just 2 shows out of random that nobody knows. And I go to the P.O. box, and literally there's a stack this high of checks for people that want to buy these 2 shows.
Excellent.
So, yeah. So that was actually the first live stage hypnosis video ever on the internet. And so as I got to know the internet better, I found that the more links you had, the higher your page went up in the rankings. And so I started my Szeles Worldwide Hypnosis Links page. And this grew into a monster. And this launched, I just had somebody tell me the other day, this launched their career. I've had like 5 people tell me this. Back in the day before Google, that was the place you went to. Everybody in the internet went to the Szeles Hypnosis webpage to find hypnotists all over the world. And I would list anybody for free, didn't charge anybody anything. The only thing they couldn't be is a stage hypnotist competing in the same market as me. But hypnotherapist and stage hypnotists from all over the world, you know. So that boosted my page up. And so I got really lucky because I didn't know how to market myself. And because of the internet, I never really had to learn because I was getting all these bookings.
Oh, well, you did learn because you learned how to put the website together and video editing.
Yeah. After about 5 years of the website really going good, I was getting enough referrals so that, you know, so-and-so college seen me, and I did a show for Columbia University. This is a funny story. I did their orientation, and I guess one of the kids' dads works for HBO, and I just got back from doing the show, and I get a call. I goes, "Hey, Jim, this is HBO. We want to hire you."
Oh, the TV station.
Yeah, but not to do a show.
All right.
I want you to do a corporate party.
Okay.
So, you know, and so it was one of those type of things. That's how I got all my work. His son seen me at the Columbia orientation and told his dad, and his dad hired me for them. And I did the corporate show for HBO, which led to other corporate bookings. And it was just, you know, it was just always how I marketed myself. I went against the norm. Back when it was expensive to call people, a lot of hypnotists have 800 numbers on their website. I wouldn't do it because I always thought if they can't afford the phone call, they can't afford the show. You know?
Very, very damn good point, that, James.
And if you watch all my old promotional videos, it's just clips of my shows. And it's like, clip, 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 clip. Here's my phone number. Here's my name. And I thought, well, this is a show. I'm not going to do you the hard sell. If you like it, book me. If not, then don't book me. I've always had that attitude, but I've always been successful, which just kind of goes against the norm. So,
well, I can see that the fact is you were the first with a website. You were the first with videos there. So you had the foot in the internet, so to speak, before everyone else. Therefore, you had the credibility. That grows, and with the word of mouth, that's, well, now, you know, several decades later, you are a legend in the industry, simple as, whether you think it or not. So these days, obviously, you've got a website, goes without saying, the exact same domain name as it was back then, which people can see in the background, Szeles.com. And interestingly, I would suggest that if you go on Web Archive, if you go on Google, type in archive, you can there's a box on there that says search websites. And if you put Szeles.com in, it doesn't go all the way back to 1994, 95, but it does go back a lot of years, and you can see how his website's evolved.
It was
some of it. Yeah.
It was January 16th of 1998 that I actually switched over to Szeles.com because I had parked it at another domain, slipnet.com/tilde Szeles.html.
Oh, that's why it only goes back that far on Web Archive then.
Yeah.
I thought it was just they'd only got round to archiving it then.
Yeah, well, because the SlipNet sold, space to everybody else. And then I bought Szeles.com. It was $100. And people, $100? Are you crazy? American Online gives you a free website for nothing. And people were going, Szeles? Nobody's going to know how to search Szeles. Nobody knows how to spell your name. So it was going everything people told me I shouldn't do, I was doing. Then the big debate back then, of course, with the internet was, you don't leave your inductions on your shows when you sell them, do you? I go, yeah. Oh, people are going to watch that and be hypnotized. They're going to sue you. I would never do that. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You sell self-hypnosis CDs, the inductions on it, the same thing applies, And people would buy my shows to see the inductions. People love to watch other people go under.
Do you still, I guess that you do sell, DVDs or pen drives these days or downloads or whatever of your show. Do you leave the induction in still?
I call it a live taping. I don't edit anything, beginning to the end. Whatever happens, happens. But I switched. Here's just something, Jonathan. A couple of years ago, I switched to, I bought a space on Vimeo.
All right, yeah.
I can sell my videos. I was putting full videos on YouTube of my shows, like a lot of hypnotists did. And I thought, well, wait a minute. One, when I do that, YouTube flags a lot of my videos because of the music copyrights in the background.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that wandered by my shows, and I have fans in Aruba. They couldn't buy the DVDs because if I sold a $20 DVD, it might be $90 in tariffs. So I decided to go downloading. So now what I'll do is I'll offer the show. Like I did a couple of shows this month, and I said to the people, I can either give you 2 free DVD copies of the show, the clients, of course, or I can give you a private link. And this private link will let you share it with everybody. You can download it and burn it to DVD yourself. And they'll be also see the show. It's just whoever you give this link to, will have access to the show. And I sell them also on that site too for $25. And they sell them really big. I've got people in my second I put a video up, they buy them. It's people in China and people, in England and all over the country. They don't want to pay the tariffs to buy an actual DVD, and they can download them and burn them anyhow. So yeah.
And it's only like $200, about $200 a year, isn't it, for a Vimeo Pro account? So it's nothing on a monthly basis. And the therapist, you could do that as well, That's assuming you start making self-help videos, then you could do that. It's a good thinking. So what do you see the future of stage hypnosis being? Do you think there is a future for it in 10, 20 years' time, now that people are getting more politically correct worldwide? I know over here in England, I used to do at the beginning the sucking and licking of the ice cream. We've all done it. And one person gets given the dildo. Now, people, oh no, you can't do that. Fine, give them a banana. So you've got the suggestive element there, but not a dildo. Somebody might take a sneaky photo and put it on social media, and then the boss might see it and they might get the sack because they're a school teacher. And there's so many new considerations. What do you make of it all?
The states are even worse. I taught a class last year at HypnoThoughts Live called Stage Hypnosis in the Me Too Generation. And it talks about doing gender-neutral shows.
Oh,
people get offended if you say, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Do you believe that? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So you have to say, good evening, everybody. And it can't be any male or female specific bits. And you can't, you have to say, is it okay if I touch you? If it's okay if I touch your shoulder? That's how sensitive people are getting, you know.
Oh my Christ.
And a lot of hypnotists don't know how to do gender neutral shows, and it takes them for a loop. But it's not that hard to do. It's just the first time you hear it, it kind of takes you by surprise. It's like, well, wait a minute. I mean, my grad night shows, which in the States are high school seniors, I used to do the penis is missing, and I mean, that kind of at a high school grad night. But now in Chippendale, guys take their shirts off, and women are Victoria's Secret models.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's considered too risque.
I can't get my head around it, because on the one hand, it's too risky, and they're going on about, oh, you've got to do gender neutral shows and all that, and that's happening in all walks of life. But on the other hand, we're getting more what I would call potentially offensive shows on the telly. Like, I don't even know if they have things like it in America, but in England we have a thing called Love Island, which is basically people get dumped on an island to cop off with each other and have sex, and but that's okay to be on TV, but we can't say ladies and gentlemen.
Isn't that amazing? When I did the show for HBO years ago, I asked them, I said, what's your most popular show? And I thought they were going to say The Sopranos. They go, anything with sex in it.
Right. Yeah.
Anything with sex in it, that is their most popular show. And then, that's why I love doing comedy clubs, adult comedy shows, because I'll tell people, if you're offended, this isn't the place to be. I'll tell you right now, there's going to be stuff that's going to offend you. So don't come up. So if they do come up, they've been warned. But I think it's just fair. If you go to the adult hypnosis show, then you've got to expect adult situations.
Well, yeah, exactly. As long as it's been advertised clearly what it is someone's going to, then on their own head be it. Yeah, it should be. I can't believe that people can then go and be offended when they've already been madness. Now in America, you're fortunate that there's a apart from America being much bigger than over here in England, but aside from that, you've got a marketplace open to you that in England we just don't have. Because of this ridiculous 1952 Hypnotism Act in England, we're not allowed to hypnotise anyone under the age of 18 without parental consent. And even then, we're not allowed to do it in a stage hypnosis show because the local licensing authorities wouldn't grant a license for the show to take place. But over there, you can do schools and high schools and proms, like end of school locking. Am I right? There's like lock-ins where you get locked in overnight so the kids can't get out. And
yeah,
how's that all work?
It's just you know what that law was? Isn't that law a throwback to the guy that did the bit where he told the person they were being electrocuted in the chair, and a week later the lady died of a heart attack? Isn't that how they passed that law in the UK?
Well, no, that's a bit of an urban myth, and the only time someone did that routine and then somebody died was they died that night, several hours afterwards.
Yeah.
And the coroner's report proved it had nothing to do with being hypnotised, although yeah, she had been given the electric shock suggestion, but she choked on her own vomit, and that was in 1990, end of 1993. The 52 Hypnotism Act came in because, no offence to Americans, but yes, it was an American that screwed things up for British hypnotists. A guy called Ralph Slater came over to England doing shows, and by all accounts, apparently didn't wake somebody up properly, who ended up claiming to be depressed, and then a lot of people campaigned for it to be banned, but a guy called Peter Casson, who was working the theatres in England at the time, managed to get some influence to say, don't ban it, regulate it, but don't ban it. Otherwise, it would have been banned entirely. I'm
surprised they're going to start banning it here, because there's so many unqualified stage hypnotists doing some dangerous stuff out there.
Now, that's interesting. What's your definition of unqualified? Because as we both know, stage hypnosis, well, you may have a totally different opinion, and that's another question. What do you think takes place with the volunteers on stage? I think basically they're a bunch of attention-seeking idiots.
Well, that's part of it, yeah. They're giving you permission to they come on stage for the attention. Long story short, and they'll sit there. I mean, I'll have somebody and I'll make them do every single outrageous thing in the world, and at the end of the show, they'll swear up and down they weren't hypnotized. But they I think one of the things that I think a lot of hypnotists, unqualified hypnotists, don't know how to do is at the end of the show is to reverse suggestions. I watch a lot of hypnotists show. I mean, it's a simple thing like saying, Fred, before I bring them out of the induction, I'll say all the suggestions I give you both consciously and subconsciously are completely and totally gone from your memory. And I'll repeat it twice. And that's just a because true, the suggestions might not last longer after the show, but it could happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And or they banned the stretching over the chairs. That used to be, we put a person between two chairs and made them stiff as a board.
Yeah, full body catalepsy. So kind of, depends how you do it. But the majority of them stick it on the shoulder blades one side and ankles on the other, which is relatively safe. But some people actually stick it on the neck. Yeah. Delabar, who taught me, actually did it on the neck, and then he'd stand on them as well. God knows.
Well, I
did.
When I was doing body catalepsy, I wouldn't even suggest that I was going to stand on because I was so heavy. I thought just a suggestion that would bring them out of it. You know what I mean? So they're back to snap. Yeah.
So I mean, what's the situation like over there with the insurance? Because over here, we can get insurance, but from very limited sources, and it has obviously gone up in price over the years. As there's been less suppliers, the price has gone up, and vice versa, because of incidents occurring with inexperienced or badly trained people who haven't fully removed all suggestions or have done full body catalepsy. And for the record, before anyone puts a comment under this video when it goes live going, how can you criticize anyone doing catalepsy? I know I did do it for a couple of decades. It was my signature end of the show. I had one accident.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the person wasn't hurt badly.
Okay.
And it wasn't while anyone was standing on them, but they just suddenly kind of started falling. I managed to catch them. Me and this other guy, both them on, catch them, but they knocked their head a little bit on the back of this chair as they caved in. And I just thought that day, not doing it anymore, and I haven't done it since.
Well, if you go on my YouTube channel, you'll see the very first show I ever did, first successful show I ever did, and I recorded on a beta camera way back when. Wow. And I did the body catalepsy, and this guy's like 6'4", and I pick him up by the shoulders, and the guy's got him by the legs, and I almost dropped him. He's so heavy.
Oh, right.
But to get him out of the chair, it worked. But taking him off, he was so heavy, I almost dropped him. So after that, I picked the smallest person I could. And then I used to say, the joke was, I used to say to them, "Do you have any back problems?" And they go, "No." Before I did it, I had, "Do you have any back problems?" They go, "No." And I'd say under my breath, "You will." But I always did like you. I always did it safely with the shoulders. I knew how to do it. And I always had two people at the end of the chairs watching them, and two people lifting them. I'd have people lift them, and I'd watch everything. I'd supervise everything. But I had to stop. I do it to this day, but I can't. If I hurt somebody, my insurance won't cover. I think it's an amazing demonstration. It's very impressive. Whether it involves real hypnosis or not is people debate it, but it's a very impressive suggestion to show people. Yeah.
Do you think there's actually any such thing as real hypnosis? Well, all right, I'll say specifically first, in the context of stage hypnosis.
I don't know what it is. I don't know how to define it. I just know I'm making money off of it.
Excellent.
People will debate whether it's real or if it's not. I don't know. That's up for you to decide. I'm convinced enough so that I know that I can make money off of it. That's all I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they're hypnotized as real. I can hypnotize people on the stage and give them suggestions to quit smoking, and it's just as if they went to a hypnotherapist. So there's a certain element of it that's real, but what is hypnosis for that matter? What is reality? We would use stage hypnosis long enough. What is reality? If I can tell somebody that, a lemon tastes like an apple and they'll eat a lemon without any reaction. I used to do the ammonia. Remember the old days?
Right. Yeah.
I used to have a bottle of ammonia. They smelled the cologne. One of the first things I used to do before I knew better.
Did you actually use real ammonia?
Oh yeah, I didn't know. Orman McGill's book.
All right, so you didn't fake it, because I used to. I did that stunt years back for a TV thing in England. But what I had, with your magical background, you'll know what I mean immediately. But I had kind of like, oh shitty now. It looked like a jug, but with a lid like a mini dustpan type arrangement.
Yeah.
So it had an insert, so that it could be open, stink of bloody the ammonia, the lid casually put on. Apparently they're given a suggestion, lid's taken off, but that removes the container that was slipped in the top that had the ammonia in, and what was inside actually did smell nice.
Okay.
It was guaranteed that they would go, oh, it smells beautiful now, and it looked just the same for TV. But you actually did it with real ammonia.
I never even thought about that. I thought, yeah, I'll try with ammonia. And it worked. And I used to have them eat the lemon too. I used to give them a lemon, tell them it was an apple every show.
No, I used to use onions, but lemon, yeah, a bit more.
I use onions, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you watch, especially the early shows, you'll see Orman McGill's induction word for word. Watch as I bite into this juicy, bitter lemon. See how the succulent, sour juices drip from the lemon as I see your mouth watering. That's a power of suggestion. As I suck in this bitter lemon, word for word from Orman McGill's book. And
I guarantee loads of you at home, I just have to swallow, because I did. There'll be loads of you at home that have just been salivating, I'm sure. So you definitely, I mean, okay, so we all started off by, NLP will call it modeling, emulating, copying, whatever, somebody else. But then over time, you develop your own bits and ideas, or change things a bit. What do you think about the whole debate? Well, I say debate. The whole argument amongst stage hypnotists of, oh, you've stolen my bloody routine. Now, I get it if it's word for word scripting, but you get them going, oh, because you've stolen my routine because you're doing the flipping, the pop star who is the Madonna sketch or whatever. If a new pop star comes along, everyone obviously independently thinks of doing the same famous pop star, don't they?
The 10-year battle in the States over who invented the voodoo doll. There's like 4 hypnotists that were going at it. If I see something you do and I like it, I'm going to do it. That's my attitude. I won't do it word for word. I'll put my own spin on it. But if I see something you do in your show, I'll take it. I'll tell people. People ask me. I came up with maybe a handful of original things in my whole 40-year career. And people say to me, "Can I do that bit?" Like the tickling gun. When I was my wife's from Liverpool, your next door neighbors, and we were in Liverpool. I found these 2 cool little ray guns, and they made noises and flash lights. So I did this tickling gun bit. I've been doing that for 30 years, and it's really good. And I've had people come up to me and say, hey, do you mind if I do that? Here's something funny, Jonathan. I did the Hypnothoughts in 2014.
Yeah.
And one of the things I do at my shows is the theatrical bow. I don't know if you've ever seen that. I have all the people on stage join hands and raise their hands in the air. And I'll say, hold your applause till I ask you to, everybody. And I'll say, I got to count of 5, everybody stand up, take the person's hand on the other side of you. I'll take the hand. I'll say, raise those hands in the air. And I'll say, a bow, a hand for the start of the show. And everybody on stage will join hands and take a big theatrical bow. And I knew when I did that at Hypnothoughts, that was the last time it was going to be my bit. And sure enough, the guys right after me on the same stage tried doing it. And within months, every single stage hypnotist in the States, or a lot of them were doing that routine. So I don't care. It would seem like a good idea at the time when I came up with it. Go for it, Just don't do it word for word. I can see where people get pissed there are some hypnotists in the States, English one in particular, who steal people's routines word for word, exact same wording, and that's where I have a problem.
Yeah, I mean that is taking it ridiculousness. On a side note, voodoo wise, the voodoo doll routine, I know there's a version of it in Secrets of Stage Hypnosis by Professor Leonardo, published in 1918, where it mentions about having like a rag doll and moving it and the person doing it in taps. So might even predate that. Yeah, some people say that there's nothing original in comedy. And at its core, obviously, there are only certain areas of comedy. Just like in magic, there's only certain magic tricks: penetration, levitation, production, disappearance. There's about 7, 9, or 12, depending on whose list you look at. With stage hypnosis, there's not that many things you can really do, is there? It's variations on
it's variations of certain music. When you hear this, you'll do this. When I say this, you'll do that. You think this is going on, but this isn't. Those are just variations of themes of Here I'm teaching. Not teaching a class. I'm doing a class at Hypnothoughts. My course is free. I mean, Hypnothoughts, for people out there don't know it, Hypnothoughts Live is a 3-day conference in Las Vegas, and I know the people who put it on, and their intentions from the time the website got started to this day have been nothing but to spread quality hypnosis training and information as far as possible. And it's not political. It's not like certain other hypnosis groups. And I've been backing them since I first heard about them in 2008. And they started doing conferences in Las Vegas, 3-day conferences. And anyhow, I'm doing next year in August, I'm doing a class on how to make your show stand out. And what drives me crazy is I'll see some really good stage hypnotists up there, and they'll do the same things. People sit in the chairs, they're playing in a band, they're on a roller coaster, they're driving a car, they never get out of the chairs. And they do the exact same routines as every other stage hypnotist, because that's who they learn from, So I'm teaching people how to take chances. I used to love doing it, the Elvis. Ladies and gentlemen, you're Elvis Presley, or now it's Bruno Mars. Mm-hmm. But it got boring for me. But people loved it, and I found that if I get bored with something, I don't do it well. So I thought, okay, well, people love it. I don't want to drop it from my skit. What can I do to make it fun for me? So I got the idea, and I thought, I'm going to get in trouble for doing this. I got the biggest Sharpie, magic marker Sharpie I could find.
Okay.
And Elvis would be singing, and everybody on stage would be the biggest fans. Then I'd say, oh, who didn't get a chance to dance with Elvis? Well, I didn't. Who wants an autograph? I do. I said, come on up. You got a piece of paper? No. Well, can you sign your arm? Sure. And they'll roll their sleeve, and they'll big, thick magic marker, all my love, Elvis. Mm-hmm. I thought people would be so pissed. And of course, there's the guys, do my forehead, I would let, or the women, do my boobs.
Really?
And I would be so pissed. And I've done that for a good 10, 12 years. Nobody's ever complained. I was doing a show, and I only had like 6 people on stage, and I didn't want to lose anybody. And one of the people woke up, and it was obvious they were awake. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to show you why you shouldn't wake up in a hypnosis show. I said, the person sitting next to you, your nose is running. Luckily, the person, they had a green shirt. The person, your nose, your head is resting on a big green Kleenex. Wipe your nose. So throughout the show, they would take wipe their nose on the person next to them. They go, I thought, once again, I thought people would be mad at it. People love it. Nobody's ever gotten offended. So I'm out there seeing how, show some lack of better word, show some balls on stage. Don't be afraid.
Excellent. I love the way you're clearly wired up, sense of humour wise, and what you've just related, those couple of examples there. I immediately thought, wow, this sounds just like your cousin's sense of humour.
Well, we have that. We have the exact same sense of humor. Believe me, We grew up
So
together.
for anyone watching who may not have worked out or doesn't know, James's cousin is Jonathan Szeles, better known in the magical and comedy world as the Amazing Jonathan. And if you tap the Amazing Jonathan into Google, you'll see there's been like at least 2 documentaries released in the past 6 months, one of which is free on YouTube. The other you've got to go and see in the cinema that are well worth looking at. And yeah, it's very similar. Pardon?
Here's my Amazing Jonathan look.
Yeah. And anyone who doesn't know, you will see that is basically an image. You look remarkably like each other, especially when you did that facial expression.
I'm a much older and much better looking cousin.
Oh dear. Well, you did used to work together at one time, didn't you?
Well, yeah. When I got that's who I got the magic with in Michigan. You know, I was 16 and he was like 13, 12 or 13, and I'd drive him to the magic shops and we'd buy stuff, and he went on and carried on with it, and I just got burned out on it, you know. But I've got that wicked sense of humor, and you know, I'll tell you the one time I was kind of mean to somebody on stage, but it was me, but it was funny because I'll do I'll play the James Bond music. This is one of my routines I came up with. And I'll say, every time you hear this music, you can find the best looking woman in the audience, take her by the hand, kiss her hand, and say your best English accent by Ms. Bond, James Bond. And then kiss her hand, take your seat back. So I'm doing it at this club, and the guy's going to every woman in the audience but his wife. And she's getting pissed. And I think, okay, well, now I'm going to do my good deed. Now I'm going to do my good deed. I said, on the count of 5, you got to walk over to your wife, you get on your knees, you can profess your love to her, take her hand and profess how much you loved her. 1, 2, 3, or 5. So he gets on his knees, he grabs her hand, he goes to tell her how much she loves her. I hit the James Bond music. He gets up and walks away like somebody else. I thought, man, I'm gonna go to hell for that one routine. But it was so funny, and people in the club just loved it. I've got to really kind of censor myself a lot. Yeah.
I take it that was a comedy club.
Yeah.
Well, they knew what they were coming for. Just to put that in perspective for people at home who are watching, everything in its context, comedy club, stuff like that, fine. They know what they're coming for.
Yeah, I love clubs. Give me a comedy club where I have an adult audience that pays to see me, and you'll see me at my best. You'll see me firing all 12 cylinders. And
what do you think the future of stage hypnosis is then, with all this political correctness, with it getting harder to get insurance, with more and more people springing up doing it, with magicians kind of devaluing it by presenting tricks on things like America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent, or the version thereof in different countries, and making it look like they're hypnotizing somebody to read their mind, where in actual fact they're not. You know, all of
this always getting stage hypnosis shows. People always want to see their friends do stupid stuff, and that's the one thing I try to stress to people. Why, when you become a stage hypnotist, understand why are people coming to your show. When it comes right down to it, why are they coming to your show? They're not coming to see you. They're coming to see your friends. Their friends do outrageous things. And the minute you understand that, and the more outrageous or the more contrast you can make the friends do, as opposed to their natural personality, the more successful you're going to be. You know, so there's always going to be people that think hypnosis is fake. There's always going to be people that believe it's absolutely true. There's always going to be people in the middle. And I don't know. The shows change. I mean, the shows are getting a little less risque, but it's entertainment. People say it's a good way to entertain people. When you think what we do for a living, we walk into a room full of strangers with nothing but 12 chairs or 20 chairs, and you convince strangers to let you kind of get into their mind. And we're not using magic props. We're just using our wits. That's what kept me in stage hypnosis. I'll do shows with 25 people because I want to put myself in a situation where I'm challenged. That's what got me out of magic. Okay, well, I can fool somebody with a magic trick. Who wants to fool them with a trick when you can really amaze them with something real? Mm-hmm. You know, show them their own mind and show them how amazing their mind is.
So obviously you use music. You already mentioned that. Do you use a lot of props? In England, you know, the stage hypnotists that work theatres or the bigger venues tend to have quite a lot of props, so it's more visual rather than just people waving their arms around or bobbing around in chairs. They make it a bit more theatrical. I don't know what it's like in the States. I've only really seen a couple of shows in America, and that was both of which were very good, I have to say. Well, you were there when we went to Anthony Cools and Kevin Lapine, yeah.
Well, I haven't seen Kevin, but Anthony and Terry Stokes are two of my favorite adult hypnotists, and they both have drastically different adult shows, but they're both really, really funny. Anthony Cools will make you go, "Oh my God, did he just do that? Make him do that?" And then the other side of me goes, "Oh my God, I wish I would have thought of doing it," But he can get away with it. And where Terry has a type of adult show where it's really funny and it's adult, but you wouldn't be ashamed to take your parents to see it. I mean, there's orgasms and there's stuff like that, but it's also very entertaining. So yeah.
So where do you draw the line, so to speak?
Here's my ethics with my show. Everything, if you watch all my shows, especially towards the later years, I don't do anything to make people uncomfortable. Everything smells good. There's no bad smells. If something person next to you doesn't smell bad, they smell good. It's the best smell you ever had in your entire life. You can stick your nose into them. It's a very positive suggestion-wise. Your belly button's got crack jokes to make you laugh. It's all very positive. There's no wrap. Look, don't wrap a belt around somebody's neck and tell them it's a snake. Or there was a hypnotist who used to say, "Oh, there's a scorpion on your arm. Get it off. Or the room's on fire. You can't get out." Or the big one where I was getting started was, "Oh, you got to pee, but you can't get out of your chair." Well, why make somebody uncomfortable? I've seen shows where I've seen hypnotists make people do things that make people on stage so uncomfortable. You can tell they get irritated, but they can't get out of the situation because they're hypnotized. And it makes me feel uncomfortable. I'll say this, and I'm not trying to be egotistic, but in terms of sheer entertainment value, not originality or production, I'll match my show with any hypnotist working today. Because when you walk away, there's the way I can put it is you walk away because I'm a likable person on stage. So if likable, I can get away with a lot of things other people can't. There was another hypnotist who passed away when I was getting started called Frank Santos.
Oh, I've heard that name, yeah.
Frank was this short little guy, Italian guy, and he had to do the most outrageous. He put dildos on women's heads, and he'd have other women give him hand jobs and popsicle sucking. But it wasn't offensive because you liked the guy. He wasn't threatening. He was very entertaining. You walked away thinking, "Oh, that was funny." Where I've seen other stage hypnotists and do adult shows, you just cringe. You go, "No, they shouldn't be doing that." So I try to work within what I feel comfortable with and what I feel is right. And it might not be for other people, but it works for me. I mean, the fact that I've done this for 40 years, I'm still working, says I must be doing something right.
Well, a lot of things right, yeah, definitely. What is the most unexpected, and I don't mean comedic reaction to a routine, because obviously you get unexpected of them on a regular basis. The most unexpected thing you've had happen in a stage show? The things they don't teach you about in the books.
I used to do the routine where every time I say hypnosis, the guy sitting next to you is pinching your butt, but the guy's going to deny it. And I did that as hypnosis. This woman's getting really out mad at this kid. It's a high school show, and it's a grad night, a lockdown, and she's hitting the guy. And after about the third time, I go, "Hypnosis." She goes, leave her touching me. And he goes, "I can prove I didn't pinch you. I'm gay." And he outed himself in front of the whole class.
Oh, right.
I did that. I did a Navy base and I did the James Bond. You can find the best looking woman in the audience. This guy kept on going to other guys. That's a common one.
Oh.
I did the James Bond at a high school assembly, and the kid walked to this teacher as a sex and kissed his teacher's hand. But just that kind of stuff. I mean, there's other stuff like, my buddy goes, I got a good routine for you, Jim. Do the imaginary tug of war. It'd be so funny. You get, okay, so I got 5 people on one side tugging on the rope, 5 people on the other side, and they're tugging the invisible rope, and they're going back and forth. One side decides to let go of the imaginary rope. Everybody else tumbled off the stage. Off the stage. And the stage, luckily, they got foot off the floor, so nobody got hurt.
All right, thank God.
But, you know, yeah, those are the kind of things, you know, that kind of throw you off. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a bit, bloody hell, yeah. Randomly going off on one, because it's just jumped into my head. Some people think that stage hypnosis is, I mean, I believe it's largely, you know, the social compliance thing. People have got the perfect excuse to make a fool of themselves because they can say the hypnotist made me do it.
Yeah.
But there's lots of people, there's people out there who think it's all about stooges and the pay to play along. Now, we both know that that would be financially non-viable in terms of doing shows. You'd be paying out all your bloody money on people. However, I do know, and I'm not going to mention names, but I do know certainly in England some stage hypnotists who will, when they are filming DVDs for release, as opposed to the nightly back of the room sale one, or doing a television slot, will employ stooges. Now, I'm using the fingers like that when I say stooges because no doubt their argument would be that these people are people who've been hypnotized before and shown themselves to be incredibly responsive and attended many shows, and that's why they ask them along to the taping or the show. But I do know some that, and I've done it myself on 1 or 2 TV shows in the 90s. I wanted to guarantee a certain outcome. I also didn't want to put any member of the public in any potential psychological trauma, which if people go on my website, you'll see I did some things that, well, I was an idiot at 17, let's put it that way. And to get headlines, you know, I did a rape routine on television in 1990, January 1994. Now, I kept quiet about it for years, but I've got the proof, and I've got the video proof that it was a paid actress. No way did she ever suffer any or have any chance of suffering anything psychologically. So that's an example. That's me laying it on the table and being honest. I've used a stooge in that context in the past. Is there any circumstance where you ever have or would ever consider doing?
Well, when I was getting started, especially in doing local San Francisco shows, I had one friend of mine that was a really good hypnotic subject, and I'd invite him all my shows because I knew he would go under. Yeah, definitely. But that way I knew I at least had one person going under. But there's some famous hypnotists in Vegas, a guy who had been doing it for many years, who was very popular. He's not doing it anymore. He used stooges all the time, the same 2 or 3 people all the time. But, you know, I did the West Virginia State Fair. I was doing 3 shows a day for 9 days. The guy comes up and goes, oh, these are all stooges. These are actors you hired. And I said, how am I going to hire 20, 60 people a day for 9 days and make any money? But they're going to believe what they're going to believe. I've gotten out of the mindset where I've got to convince them. I'll explain it to them. I'll say, well, if that's what you believe, then that's what we're going to believe. And that's up to you. But, you know, I'll explain it to them and I'll just walk away.
Have you ever, I volunteered the only stage hypnotist I've ever volunteered for was Peter Powers years ago, but that's not true. I also volunteered for a show of Ken Webster's donkeys years ago when I was wanting to see, was anything being said on stage? Were stage whispers being said, you know, come on, to G them up? And my conclusion was that they are, but not necessarily as the skeptics would think. More in a, well done, you're doing well, G it up type kind of way. I mean, do you use off mic cueing?
No, but I had a friend of mine, his whole show was, he would whisper people's ear, just go along with it. You're not hypnotized, just go along with it. He would tell all his volunteers that.
All right. Well, I wasn't thinking in that to that degree. I just meant, like, you start them doing a routine.
What I'll do, usually if a routine, if something's going on stage, let's say that the person's doing a routine, and other people are on stage while they're doing that routine, I'll go up to the people on stage, and I'll touch them on the head, and I'll go, okay, now deeper and deeper, just relax. You're doing good up here. I'll talk to them like that, and kind of do positive reinforcement throughout the show.
Right.
But
okay.
I never kind of give them direction at all. Yeah.
Cool.
You notice that whatever happens on stage, you're responsible for, good or bad.
Yes.
I did a show at a comedy club, and I said, okay, everybody take a deep breath, let it out. And the woman on the front table of the comedy club hit the floor. And it turns out she had heat stroke. And it just happened to happen as I started my induction. But everybody looked at me like, what did you do to her? And I got her back up on the chair, and I tried to do my show, but nobody on stage would go under. They were afraid.
Yeah.
But whatever happens on stage, it's always, the hypnotist always gets blamed.
Even when it's not your fault, or
it's not your
fault, because we're living in that day and age. We're back to what we said before. There are female stage hypnotists as well.
Oh yeah.
There's quite a lot in America, actually. In England, we don't have very many, but in America, you seem to have quite a lot of female stage hypnotists.
Men like women to hypnotize them.
Well, there is that. Yeah, well, there is that. Well, it is ultimately, isn't it? It's a sort of fetishy thing. I heard rumours that Pat Collins. Anyone who doesn't know, search Google, search YouTube. Pat Collins was known as the singing hypnotist.
The hypnotist.
The hypnotist, yeah. And she sang with live accompaniment. She'd sing rather than having backing tracks for the routine. She'd sing it, and I believe she had like a cabaret club in Vegas.
She had a club on Sunset Strip, and she had a 3-piece band, and she was probably the biggest stage hypnotist in the States that people would know, because she was she did I Love Lucy, she did Love America Style, she was in a couple of movies, and I honestly, I got a chance to meet her twice. It was I'll tell you a good story. She was doing her Showtime specials, and she was at the Circle Star Theater in the Bay Area, and they called my cousin up, and they said, "You want to open for her?" Mm-hmm. And it was on my birthday, believe it or not. And so I went over there, and I got to meet her. And this is 30 years ago, when I was quite not so famous, kind of on my way, and I was too tongue-tied to say anything to her. Hi, Miss Collins. I like your show, And she had done 3 Showtime specials, and she still couldn't fill the whole Circle Star Theater. They had to cut it in half. But it was interesting. Yeah.
Bloody hell! It just goes to show being on TV doesn't necessarily automatically equate to bums on seats.
It was so cool that I got a chance to meet her, and she had that really stage commanding presence. Sometimes you ever meet entertainers that just radiate energy.
Mm-hmm.
She was one. Richard Pryor. I seen Richard Pryor live, and he was one. You could feel the energy coming from the energy from the stage, and she had that kind of maybe it was just confidence because she had done so long, so often, Yeah. But
there's a point, doesn't there, when you've done something for so long? All right, as you said, you vary it a bit so you don't go out of your mind crazy and you don't get bored with it. You change it up a bit, but the essence is roughly the same, is it? Of a stage hypnosis show, you're going to get volunteers, pre-talk, get volunteers, hypnotize them, deepen it, tell them post-hypnotic they've got to do stuff when you tell them to.
Yeah.
Do your routines, wake them up, remove all suggestions, make sure the structure's pretty much the same that you do year in, year out. So, I mean, you could probably do it in your sleep, quite literally.
But we forget. I mean, for us, it's just, okay, did a show, big deal. But for people watching it, a lot of times that's the first time they've ever seen it, you know. But so like you said, if somebody said to me right now, "Hey Jim, there's 20 people on a chair and in the room next to you, can you do your show?" It just goes on like that. I don't have to do any pre-warm up. I don't have to psych myself out. It's just very natural. I've done shows where I've been tired. I've done shows with strep throat. I've been shows, and when the show starts, the adrenaline kicks in, and people would never know it. And it's just second nature. It's just, you know. But here's my question to you, because we both been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
How real is reality? If you know what I mean. What is reality if you can change somebody's perception of reality so easily and so completely that they can smell ammonia without reacting, or bite into a lemon or onion without reacting? How real is reality? How much is expectation versus the actual reality?
Expectation, without a doubt, I believe is, well, expectation in the context of whatever information someone's got to work on, whether that be true or not, definitely is what alters perceptions. I mean, even politicians do it all the time, feeding misinformation to people to change their perceptions of what's going on. It's salesmen do it, don't they? You know, it's happening everywhere. So I know I flippantly said before, hypnosis, I think they're just playing along, and I do with stage hypnosis. But I do think that one or two of them probably end up tricking themselves or convincing themselves that they've been in some special state, because it's just easier for them to end up believing that than to have to try and rationalize to themselves why they did whatever they've just been doing for the past 60 minutes or so. So then arguably that means they have just been hypnotized if they genuinely believe that.
Yeah.
The case.
Yeah. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a paradox.
Yeah.
I
just started putting a routine back on my show that I did years ago, and I seen it on a video of a show I did like 20 years ago. And so it's a blank piece of paper. And I'll show people in the audience, say, blank piece of paper on both sides. I'll take two people on stage, I'll say, this person, it's the funniest thing you've ever seen in your life. This person, it's the saddest thing. And I'll wake them up, and one person will laugh, one person will cry. Okay, when I snap my fingers, you laugh, you cry. Then I'll do that, and I'll stop the routine, and I'll say to people in the audience, it's not what you think, it's your perception of things. If you think something's funny, it's going to be funny. If you think something's sad, it's going to be sad. You know, and that to me gives such a clear demonstration of the power of suggestion that it blows people away. And I did that for years, and I did so many things that I'll watch shows from 20, 30, 40 years almost, and think, oh yeah, I wonder why I stopped doing that. You know, but
So time's running away with us. So I'm going to have to get my skates on with these last few questions. Stage hypnosis is your speciality, but obviously I'm sure you've done hypnotherapy at some point. Pretty much every stage hypnotist I know does.
I'm a certified hypnotherapist in California.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's your view on the differences? Because I don't personally, I think hypnotherapy is like doing a stage hypnosis show, except you've got a grand total audience of one person, and that person's also the participant. But kind of structure-wise, there's a pre-talk, there's an induction, there's a deepener. You're putting in structure-wise, it's pretty much, certainly the way I perceive it, it's doing a stage show. It's just that instead of making them jump around like Elvis, you give them suggestions. They no longer need, want, crave, or desire for cigarettes or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, I agree with that.
A lot of therapists spend so much time telling their clients, oh, it's nothing like stage hypnosis. And I think that people that go to see a hypnotherapist who asks that question, oh, is it like stage hypnosis? You're not going to get me to run around like a chicken, are you? I think these therapists that turn around and say, no, it's nothing like that, are weakening, giving up some of their power and ability to help the client. Could I turn around to them and say, well, yeah, it is like that, but you've only paid for an hour of my time. So if you want me to get you to do the chicken stuff, you're going to have to pay more money. And obviously the person laughs and goes, no, I don't want that. But they feel reassured that you won't do it, but also believe that you could have done it. Therefore, you must be a good hypnotist.
I'll do shows and people come up to me after the show saying, oh, I want you to help me quit smoking. I've been to 4 hypnotherapists. They can't help me, but I'm sure you can. Isn't that interesting? Because they believe I have the power. I did this comedy club in Iowa 3 times, and the guy, a real nice guy who ran it, and big heavy guy, and he was going to have gastric bypass surgery, and they wouldn't do it because he was type A personality, and he had to give up chewing tobacco. And he had tried everything his whole life, and so the 3rd time he did the club, he called me and said, hey, Jim, can you help me? So he had seen my show 3 times. I had made his mother's go to the bathroom and take her bra off and put on the outside of her clothes. So he knew it was real. So I said, yeah, I'll be happy to help you. So I took him in the back room. It came out and he quit. And my wife, Pauline, she goes, what'd you say to him? I said, ooga booga, ooga booga, ooga booga. It didn't matter. He had the belief that I could make him quit. And so all I had to do is just kind of reinforce that he had the power and that, the usual. He had the power that chewing tobacco had no control over him. But it was more in his mind, he was sure that I could help him. He was sure the results would come from me that he quit. And
he'd already decided that you were the trigger to that.
It was going to make him
quickly
quit.
As that.
And he had chewed tobacco stents. He had the surgery, and that's always that's what hypnotherapists don't understand. Part of it is creating the belief that you have the knowledge to help the people that are coming to see you, and part of it is putting the responsibility on their shoulders. When I first, because I was doing my rainmaking show when I got into hypnosis, and then when the rainmaking show was over, I still couldn't make living full time doing shows, so I do smoking sessions. And I say to people, come to me with the attitude of you're going to quit smoking whether the session works or not. Otherwise, don't bother coming. And with that mindset, I had a really high success rate with my smoking sessions, because I would tell them right ahead, come with the attitude, whatever you want, whatever you want, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, whether it's hypnosis or not. And if you come in the right mind frame with hypnotherapy, then that's half the battle.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's probably more like 75, 80% of the battle.
Yeah.
If you've set it up. And the thing is, as a stage hypnotist, in my experience, I don't know, you may have had totally different experience, but I've found that the hardest shows I've ever had in the 30 years I've been doing stage hypnosis, the ones where they've lied to me when they booked me.
Yeah.
The person who's booked me's told me that everybody knows it's been advertised for weeks in advance, and I get there and then they spring that it's a surprise party. And the person whose party it is doesn't even know there's going to be in fact, none of the guests know, only they know who's booked it. And it's like, oh, for flip's sake.
Yeah, I get that all the time. And I'll tell them, I'll say, tell people, make sure you tell people it's important, because that way your guests will have a chance to decide whether they want to try it or not. Oh, okay, I will. And then, well, we got surprise entertainment for you guys tonight. And
yeah.
But that's what I love doing shows for 25. I do shows for 10 people, because the thrill of falling on my ass, I could totally walk in there, just fall on my ass and bomb, is what keeps me going. It's a challenge. Can I do a show with 10? Can I get enough people under with 10 people in a room so that I can pull a show off and they'll love it? And here's the thing I found. If I get 1 person or 2 people under, they're ecstatic. Whoa, look what you did to Marion. Wow, that was the best thing I've ever seen in my life. And, I know, and that, it's not your best work. You're better with 100, 200, 300, 400 people in a crowd, but they're happy. And so,
and I imagine you will definitely get all the work out of that, because there's a lot of stage hypnotists out there that just wouldn't walk on stage if there was only 10 people there. They just wouldn't do it.
I know if I have 10 people in the room and there's 2 people that really want to try it, chances are I'll get at least one of them under. If I get 1 person under, I can do a whole show. I've done many a show with 1 or 2 people. And,
excellent.
Yeah. And I feel more responsible. I'll do, I get $2,500 for a corporate show, but if I do a private party for $1,000, I feel more responsible to do a good private party show, because $1,000 to these people for a birthday or an anniversary is a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot more in comparison to a company that's got a bloody big budget. Yeah.
For me, it's more important to do a good private show. So that's just my belief.
I agree with you. Excellent. So my final question, because I've run over the hour, but hey ho, there will be no editing. This will go out as it is when it goes up on Hypnosis Week. My final question is the one that I've asked everybody. Now, I'm going to ask it you in the context of stage hypnosis. Obviously, therapists have asked them in that context. If somebody was to come to you with either no knowledge, no experience, no background in stage hypnosis, or at most they perhaps got hold of a copy of Ormond's book, The Encyclopedia of Stage Hypnosis, and had a read over it, but they decided they wanted to be a stage hypnotist, what would your 3 top tips be to them in terms of learning what they needed to know and also getting the balls to go and try it in the first place?
The first thing I tell them is you can be self-employed. So if you're not good at being self-employed and not getting a paycheck, don't get into it. The most important, I would say, the 3 things I would tell them is, just learn a good induction that works for you. And it doesn't matter if it's an instant induction or progressive relaxation. Just find what works for you, your personality, and find what, and stick with that and don't quit. Just no matter what happens. There's times I'll do shows and the shows won't go good. At least I don't think they're good. And I'll sit there, even to this day, I'll sit there and say, I never want to do another show in my life. I'll walk away so disgusted, But don't quit. The hardest part's getting started. When you're starting to be a stage hypnotist, there's a catch-22, and that is nobody's going to hire you unless you have a good show, but you can't have a good show unless you have some experience. So I'll tell people you're learning stage hypnosis. They'll sit there and say, well, hypnotize me, hypnotize me. I used to do birthday parties, and we'd have parties at my house, and I say, you guys want to see the show? And just practicing everybody. It's saying anything else in life. You never give up. I'll quit when I'm dead. Play better.
And then you'll find a way of advertising from the underworld. Be the first person to do that, just like you were with the first person to have the website.
Szeles, his show from the grave, starting out.
I won't put it past you. So thank you so much for your time. For the people watching, that may have seemed rather conversational. You probably guessed by now that these interviews are. What I would say is, as always, if you get a piece of paper, well, a pad and a pen, if you're interested in stage hypnosis, go back to the beginning and this time watch, but make notes, because there's actually been shed loads of liquid gold advice, starting off with, don't always follow what everyone else is doing. Do things differently, which James definitely did. You've got to be proactive. You've got to do something. In James's case, it was breaking into the internet, building up a reputation through word of mouth. Don't worry what other people are doing. As you just said there, a lot of people go, you've got to do rapid inductions to be a stage hypnotist. Well, James just said, if you do a slower induction, a more progressive one, it doesn't matter if it gets you going and you then get experience and get better. And there's so many other things he's mentioned. If you take notes, you'll see there's gold to learn. And I would advise you to go to his website, which you can see in the background, szeles.com. And he has got shows completely unedited. So with the induction in there, with the pre-talk, not to copy word for word, but to see a master at work, so you can then start to understand what reading in your book is one thing, but seeing it actually done, I believe it is way more powerful. So thank you so much for your time, James. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope to be able to catch up with you later in the year when hopefully I get out there to Vegas.
Let's go back to Vegas, get the 3-foot margaritas again.
Yeah, hey, that was fun. It was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, James came along. Jay Novelzada, the magicians will know from HTG Live and Penguin Magic and stuff. The street hypnotist crowds will know him, but he took me over to Vegas in 2013.
Yeah.
Something like that. And James came along one other day, and amongst partying, drinking, socialising, obviously I had to run a bit of a seminar, and he came in and he very kindly answered people's questions on everything and anything that they asked for well over an hour. It was about an hour and a half. And if you get hold of I think it's called HTG Live in Vegas videos that Jay made of that event, liquid gold information from James on there, just as you will get if you go to Hypnothoughts Live in August in Las Vegas. Their website's hypnothoughts.com. James's is zealous.com. You can see it in the background, but there will be a link below this video as well. Once again, thank you very much indeed, James.
Thank you, John.
Absolute pleasure, buddy.
Good talking with you again.
And for everyone watching, I'll see you next week on Hypnosis Week.